Let's go over some free patterns to help with your sewing inspiration for the month. Welcome, I do sewing and DIY related content, and today's video is we are going to be going over free sewing patterns to help get you started for the new year, to help get you started for the month, and to give you some sewing inspiration. Now, all of these patterns are going to be available on my Pinterest page, specifically on a board that I created called 2024 Sewing Patterns. So on here, you'll be able to find all the patterns that we're going over today, and I will include a link in the description so that you're able to get to it. Now, I asked you what type of patterns you were interested in seeing for free sewing patterns, and I got a lot about clothing, home goods, and then just some accessories as well. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. These are the patterns that I found for the month. So let's walk through them and see how they are. So the first pattern I'm going to be bringing up today is a pattern that I have already talked about before, but this is the NH Patterns Heather Sweater. It is a full PDF sewing pattern, and this is just so versatile. I have made this so many times now, and you can really have it be kind of dressed up. You could have it very casual, like it's shown in the picture here, and it's a very beginner-friendly project. It comes in sizes 4 through 32, and the printing out is very simple to do as well. Now for this, there's a preview button. You can just download it or you can add it to your cart since it is a free pattern. She includes a lot of information about how to sew, what she's expecting for the types of fabrics, and the fit of the overall sweatshirt. I have made this with both a stretch velvet, I've also used a knit fabric, and then I did actually make this using a cotton material, so I sized it up and then used like a rib knitting around the collar, and it turned out really well too. Now, while this is a beginner-friendly pattern, there are a couple things to note. She does do the pattern assuming that you have a serger. She says that you can use a sewing machine, especially if you're using a zigzag stitch, and maybe like a walking foot would help as well, but just keep that in mind since this does call for knit materials. Knit can be a little bit more tricky to work with, especially for beginners, and not everyone has a serger on hand. So how quickly you can get this done really depends on if you have that serger or if you're going to be relying on a sewing machine and doing a zigzag or lightning stitch. But overall, this was a really simple pattern, and I actually will be calling on it again a little later in the video. So now the next pattern we're going to talk about is for a skirt. I was thinking of making a midi skirt about a month ago or so, and I just couldn't really decide on what fabric I wanted to use, so I ended up skipping it, but I had found some great pins along the way for how to make one, and I really liked this pin as it talked about how you could make a panel skirt without a pattern. So it's very size inclusive. It can be really whatever size you want, as she talks about how you measure yourself to figure out what sizing you would need. In addition, because it is how to make a paneled skirt, the more panels you add, the fuller your skirt will be. So there's just a lot of ways that you can customize this, all without needing to download, a bunch of pieces of paper to get that pattern to print out. She talks about how you could use newspaper or brown butcher paper, and then talks about how you measure all of that so that you can get those pattern pieces and you are making them yourself, so you're not having to, rely on someone else. This is all for your own measurements and it can be exactly fitted to you. The only thing I did not like about this pattern was sewing the hem. They wanted you to have someone else help you with the hem so you could make sure it's even all the way around. And while yes, that would be the most ideal, sometimes you just don't have someone else to help you. So I found this other pin for how to hem a skirt, and the best part about this is it does talk about how to hem a skirt. It goes a lot more in depth, but it also gives you some hacks for how to hem a skirt by yourself. So if you do not have anyone to help you, this pin may be really useful and have some information on how you can still do it and how you can finish off your skirt. So then finally, the last kind of garment that I have for this was the sweatshirt dress. So I thought this pattern looked really fun, and I think that these dresses are incredibly comfortable and really fun to wear. So I thought that this would be a great one to do, especially as you could pair it with leggings or tights, like fleece lined tights for the winter. So this person had taken an inspiration picture that they had saw and they tried to turn it into a pattern. The one thing that I did not like about this website is there were just so many ads. But as you can see, she kind of walk you through the process of how they came up with the idea and how much fabric you will need, any of the ribbing that you will need for the cuffs and neckband, and then they had a free dolman top sewing pattern. I did not use this as there was just so many ads to click on the page, but what I really liked about this pattern was that she has a lot of in-depth pictures, and I think you would be able to use that NH sweater pattern from earlier for the top portion. If anything, you may just need to crop it, and they even talk about, like you can try on the top portion when you finish it, and then you can just follow their instructions for how to cut the fabric for the bottom portion of your dress, and then you sew everything together. So again, this would be one that you may need a serger for, or you'd be using a zigzag stitch. But then the one item I will mention is that sewing the hem of this dress could be a little difficult, as she wants you to use a cover stitch or to use a double needle hem. And sometimes that could be really difficult to get right, especially for beginners. So just be sure to look into other ways you can do the hem if you do have any issues using a double needle, or if you do not have a cover stitch machine. So now moving away from the garments, we are going to start talking about a quilting pattern. So Valentine's Day is coming up. I know it's January now. Normally I start working on holiday items about a month ahead of time, and I thought that this free pattern looked really cute and really fun. And it's multiple hearts put together. The best part about this pattern is that it is a jelly roll project too. So you can use scraps, you can use a jelly roll. It's very simple to put together. As you scroll down the page, it specifically talks about how much fabric you will need for each. It's referring to the jelly roll strips, so if you have those, you'll easily be able to get this done. And if not, then you can just cut it out to the measurements of the jelly roll. Then there is a link for how you can get the full tutorial, so you click this and that will take you to another page that then has the entire tutorial on it. So this tutorial, it says it's easy, and looking over it, I believe that yes, this is a very easy pattern to do. It has all of your, what they call ingredients, which are just all the items that you will need, and it includes the final dimensions, and the instructions are very clear and straightforward. It includes lots of different pictures as well, so that you're easily able to see how much you need for each of the fabrics and how you sew them together. The heart looks like it comes together really quickly, and then at the end you have one heart. I think you could also use this for other heart-shaped crafts as well. So with all of that said, before I move on to the accessories, I did have one other pin on here. It's just like a really simple visualization of how to make a front panel skirt. So I thought that this looked really nice, and I wanted to include it just in case anyone wanted to try to make this skirt as well. It looks really simple, and it's a great visualization of how you would put it together. So now we have two more patterns to talk about, and these are both accessories. So I'm going to start with this clutch pattern. I have another video coming out where I actually made my own clutch to go to an event, and I know that the holiday seasons are over now, but we're soon going to be getting into wedding season, and it's really a simple project to just make your own clutch to match your outfit, and it can be a really fun thing to do. So for this pattern, you click on the link and you are able to see all of the information and all of the items that you will need to make it. A lot of this is just quilting cotton for the outside lining. It does use some fusible fleece, and then she talks about that there is a template for you to download. This was very simple to get to. You just click the picture and then you're able to download both of these images, and then it walks you through step by step of how to cut it out as well as how to sew it all together. So I think this would be a really fun bag for you to make. Then the last pattern that I have on here is an easy fleece hat tutorial. So I wanted to do something that would be really easy, but also in case people are watching this to get ideas for something to make for others. Right now, since it is the winter, I know that a lot of places are having their hypothermia weeks, or different shelters are looking for different hats and gloves. So this seems like a really simple pattern that you'd be able to make a lot of hats very quickly with. And fleece is normally one of those items that you can find very easily in the bargain bin. So when you go to the pattern, you will see that there is some information as well as a video tutorial on how to make it. And then what you're going to do is you will cut out the fabric, you measure it. There's literally, I think, only like 1 or 2 seams in this, and then you just add some fringe and you roll up the bottom, and you will then have a fleece hat. Now the best part is she does include different dimensions to include like baby and then like toddler, child, and then adult. So you'd be able to make a lot of different ones depending on what size hat you needed, or if you were going to be donating them to someone. She includes the lengths and the measurements for all of those. Now, she does say that you can kind of give or take depending on the size of their head, so you could definitely adjust these depending on your needs. Now, one thing to remember with this is since fleece is a stretchy material, you are going to want to use a zigzag stitch, and she does talk about that as well. And then of course you could customize these by adding like a unicorn horn on top. You could add some little scales. There's a lot that you could do with fleece hats that make them fun and make them very quick and simple to create. So all the links for these patterns are on this Pinterest board, and this link will be in the description of this video. Let me know which pattern you're going to do, and if you found this video enjoyable, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.